Hello everyone, my name is Jordi Polo and I'm going to be talking today about reliability-driven application development. First, a very short introduction about myself. I work at a company called Medidata and I'm in charge of what we call as the SRE department. I used to be working as the API expert and before I was an engineer, so I've been having multiple hats and right now I'm on this new challenge. So let's talk about you. Let's talk about what's your mission? Like, why do you go to work? Why that company? What's the mission? So your mission most probably is related to what's your company's mission. So where is that? What does your company wants to accomplish? What's the mission? And I'm gonna give you some examples. For instance, if you search what's the mission for Sumo Logic, you will read that is to create a leading machine data analysis platform. You search the mission for Google, that's to organize world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. You search the mission for the company I work for, Medidata, you will see to advance the development of new treatments. That's the missions of these companies. But you notice what they really want to accomplish is on their area, they want to satisfy the customers. There are people who go to Google looking for information. So when they go there, they want to delight the customers and give them the information they want. People come to Sumo Logic to analyze their running systems. So Sumo Logic wants to delight the customers by doing this. So if you remove the details, really everyone's mission is the same, is to delight your clients. That's what you need to do. And that's the mission that you have within your company. So how you do this? That's what we're gonna be talking about. One way to accomplish this is what is called reliability-driven application engineering. And this is how it looks like. Very simple. There's a goal, which is above this goal. Everything that is better than this is a client who is happy. You're worse than this, the client is not happy. But how can you relate? How can you do this on missions that are so abstract as to provide access to world's information or to analyze, be the best analysis platform? So that's very difficult. And when we engineers face a difficult problem, our number one approach is to divide it in pieces. So here we divide the mission of one company into subcomponents, products into APIs. However, you can divide this as much as you want. And then on each of this, you're gonna need to gather data. You're gonna need to gather statistics. So you're gonna need to gather a lot of happy client and happy client. And every one of those is no more than one single interaction that the client has with your software. And this is something that we know how to do. We know how to measure at that level. Everything else is just aggregations of the lower level that we know how to measure. So eventually this problem that at the beginning looked intractable, now is totally possible. We can do this. So let's start there. The first step is to look at the interaction between the users and the services. To look at that interaction, we need telemetry. These days, the best practices is this telemetry should be logs, traces, and metrics. Each of these has its own strengths, and my advice is you should be doing all of them. Then from that telemetry, you're gonna get some data. Like for instance, you will know what's the status code that your endpoint is returning to the client. Or you will know this is the latency of my web page. From that, you will create what is called SLIs. And that will be something like the count by status code, the number of 200 responses, the number of 500 or error responses, Those counts will be your SLIs. Or in the latency area, could be the 99th percentile latency of this web page on 95 or 80, whatever you care about, latency of this web page. And finally, you will have your SLOs, which is the goals. This is where now you're able to determine if something is good or bad. Note that till now, for instance, in SLIs, when we have 99 latency, the latency could be 3 seconds. Is 3 seconds good? Maybe. We don't know till we have the goal. And that's the bar in the diagram that tells us if something is good or is bad. So let's say our SLO says the 99 latency should be below 100 milliseconds, or that the status quo is the number of 500s, so errors, is below 0.001%. Now we can go back to our diagram. We're going to start from the right to the left of the diagram. As we can see, the interaction of the user with our systems give us information of data points entered below 100 milliseconds or data points entered successfully. So there we already are making a decision on what is good and what is bad. And we do this per each interaction, per each user. So we move one step to the left and we see we're going to have a number of goods and a number of bads. Those could be on different categories, like for instance, errors or latency, or we could merge some categories. We could do whatever we want to do, but we're going to have a number of goods and a number of bads. Then we move one more to the left. At this level, we want to decide what number of goods means happy user. For instance, in this case, we decide that 99.99% of the data we have has to be good. If we are below that, the user is unhappy. So at this level, happiness or unhappiness depends on the calculation of the aggregation of the previous level. And so on. We can keep going this till we reach the company goals. So you see in this diagram, there were 3 decisions we made. We decide below 100 milliseconds. We decide success of a data point entered or no success, so error rate. And we decide 99.99. All these things could change. We could not care about success. We could change the 100 milliseconds. Instead of 99.99 could be 98. All that is things the companies or you, your team, controls, and is where you decide where is a happy user versus an unhappy user. Let's look at how we can do this with Sumo Logic. Till now, this is all theory. It's a little bit abstract. So let's ground this using the Sumo Logic tools. I'm going to explain how we do this in Medidata using Sumo Logic. In our case, for telemetry, we are using logs, traces, and metrics as its best practices. For logs, we use JSON structure logs, and I will really recommend you follow that practice because it makes searching for logs and analysis much easier than if you just use text. For traces, we follow the OpenTelemetry spec, and again, I will recommend you to follow this. It's now the de facto standard, so I will not use any vendor-specific tracing mechanism and instead use the OpenTelemetry standard. And for metrics, we are using Prometheus, as there is so many libraries available out there, but I think at some point we will move to OpenTelemetry. This is our base. This is the information we have, and we just throw everything to Sumo Logic. Sumo Logic right now has support for everything, all kind of telemetry information. So we just send it there. And I will recommend you to do such a thing. You may be using multiple systems, but then it becomes difficult to correlate or to link information. I will recommend you to gather all your information as much as you can in one place. That will help you to find insights. Then recently, Sumo Logic has a new product, which is the Sumo Logic application reliability. And this is what we are using for the SLO layer. And how does this look like? So it looks like something like this. You see on the right says goal. So that line, that's our SLO, that's the goal. Over that line means customer happy. Below that line means the customer is not happy. And you can see on the left, the blue line going down, that's the actual performance. So in this case, our customer is not happy. Our target, and it's on top, says there's 98%, but our real data is telling us is 96.12. So that means unhappy customer. And this is great. This is fantastic. This is good product. So success. It has a couple of things that we really like. Is show us the user satisfaction this week. And it's very easy to connect this to monitors, which is alerts. So the team can know when this kind of events happens and you are below the line, that could be an alert for the team. And that's good, but we want more. And we were thinking, instead, if you look at the software development lifecycle, you have design, development, testing, deployment, and maintenance, like production. Instead of working in production directly and see if we have something below the line and then try to improve that problem, what if we could move this much earlier? What is shift left? Like we engineers, like we love shifting left. So let's try doing this. And to do that, we create a new tool. It's just a set of scripts that take our SLO definitions, which we place in OpenAPI files. It's another standard I will recommend you to follow. We have OpenAPI files that describe our REST APIs, and we set SLOs on them. We have our own simplified SLO definition format, and our tool will take these definitions that we store in GitHub, and they are controlled by teams, and a few templates for Sumo Logic dashboards, for Sumo Logic SLOs, and other resources. And then we create Terraform files. Those Terraform files are run by Terraform and sent to Sumo Logic. And kudos here for the Sumo Logic Terraform provider, because it works well, works as expected, and is very useful. Just to give you a hint, is anything you can see in the UI in Sumo Logic will have an API for it, and the Terraform provider, we have support for that. So if you're doing something in the UI that you want to automate, I think the Terraform provider is an easy way of doing that. So this is what we have done. And when we create the SLOs, as you just showed. We create monitors for alerts on those SLOs. And we also create dashboards, which are meant to be long-term. So you notice on the left, which is the SLO default view from Sumo Logic, we have 1 week of information, which is good. But our sprints are 2 weeks. So we're already missing what happened previous week. And what we want to do is to review this every sprint and say, what's the general health of our product? So we create these dashboards, the one on the right, that last 6 months. And that gives us a good view through multiple deployments. We can see how deployments are improving or not our products. You can see on the graph down right that there were a lot of green and then less green. That means the product, you see slowly, deployment by deployment, was getting worse. And that's something the team can see happening in the sprint planning, not when the alerts happen, when we are already at 0. We see it coming. Then the team in planning can create new stories to fix this before even alerts happen. The general idea is you check this. If the dashboards are all green, so at the beginning of planning, you start planning, you say hello to everyone, then you go to the dashboard. If they're all green, okay, just do your planning as usual. If anything is not green, then you need a story to investigate, to fix, to improve whatever you see that is not green. And that's how we do it. So together with this tooling, we need a little bit of process. And this is the process that we have that has worked well for us. So I'm going to explain it a little bit in detail. What we do can be divided in 4 stages: the pre-engagement, engagement, engage, and operational. First is to work with the team, with the requirements. So we talk about the product state, pain points, and we give them a workshop. That workshop is meant to convey them ideas similar to what I just explained in this presentation. So we want them to understand the goals is user satisfaction. It's not about a number for my API. 100 sounds good. No, it's about user satisfaction. So they need to do their research to understand what's going to be good goals for them. Also, we provide them initial data of what's the current state, so they can leverage those 2 things. This is my current state. This is state customers are happy with. What should we do here? So we give them some training on this area. And I think this is really, really important. It has worked very well for us. I will not, even if you have the tools, even if Sumo Logic provides the tools, I will say you will fail if you just throw the tools to them. They're not going to do it properly. You need to teach them how to do it, and then they will have success. Then we go with them and help them create those SLOs. They control the SLO definition. We're just making sure that it makes sense for their case. We make sure that they have the SLIs, they have the telemetry ready that can provide the information for those SLOs. And then we run our tools, we verify the dashboards, verify monitors, make sure that everything is correct as a first step. Once they do this one time, it's on them. They control everything, and they will make all the changes they need. That's the pre-engagement and engaging steps. Then we go to engage, which is where we work with them for sometimes for a number of sprints, just so they know how to roll with this. So that's explaining them with error budgets, what do we do at the sprint planning, how to create the stories, how to label them. There's a number of things in this kind of process just to teach them this is how you behave when this happens in this situation, you do that. And at the end, we have the operational stage in which teams are independent. We start doing it, then they shadow. Later they do it, and we're just there in case there are any questions. And at the end, we're just not there, and the teams are independent. We leave always one person in the team as an ambassador. So it's someone with who we're going to have meetings, get feedback. What you want to improve? What can we do for you? What do you need? All those things. And rinse and repeat with a new team, a new service. And slowly we have more and more SLOs. So we're building the SLOs that we have. We're every day more confident at how we accomplish our goal of having better treatments, because that's the end of the goal of the company I work for. But it's because more and more areas in the company are having SLOs that make sense. They're connected to user satisfaction, and they're reviewing this on planning, and they're acting on alerts that the Sumo Logic product produces. and it's working very well for us. So my summary will be delight your clients. That's what you need to do, and hopefully these few hints will help you on your journey to that. My last slide, just thank you for listening to this. I put there some books, Accelerating Topologies, and a couple of books about SRE. Those has been very, very helpful for us to understand how to do things in certain ways and help us improve. And that's all I have for you. Thank you.